Welcome, everyone, to the third video of Murrow Minutes Goes Virtual. I am your host, Mackenzie Johnson, and this episode is titled Quarantine Questions and Suggestions. So today we have some awesome Murrow student ambassadors that are going to talk to us about some of the questions that you may have had during this time in quarantine. What are the things to keep busy? What are some suggestions of activities that you can do? And we're here to talk with you about that. So without much further ado, I'm going to go ahead and let our student ambassadors introduce themselves, and then we're going to jump into some questions about this uncertain time, and then turn to some resources that you guys can look to. So I'll turn it over to Madison if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Madison. I'm a junior majoring in multimedia journalism, and I'll be the Vice President of Retention for next year for the Murrow Ambassadors.
Hi, I'm Jack. I'm a senior. I'm studying advertising and communication technology. I'm graduating this semester.
I'm Mindy. I'm a junior, double majoring in multimedia journalism and advertising.
Great. So we have an awesome group with us here today. A graduating senior to talk about his experience here with the ceremonies being canceled and classes being moved online for his last semester, as well as some younger ambassadors that are planning to continue with the program in fall and kind of looking to how do we handle this uncertain time when we're not sure what's happening over the summer or in the future years. So with that, I think we'll jump into a few questions that I know that I've had during this quarantine time, and hopefully hearing the answers from our students here in Murrow will help give a little bit of clarity, and as well as make you just kind of feel that we're all going through the same issues. So knowing that we're all struggling with the same things, I think can really help us build community and stay strong through these uncertain times. The main question that I think I want to start with, and Madison, will turn it back over to you. What has surprised you the most about being in quarantine? For example, I don't think any of us in our lifetimes have been at mandatory stay-at-home orders. We've never had to be in a quarantined position before. So what has surprised you the most about this situation?
Yeah, it's been a very interesting situation for sure. What surprised me the most was that I've actually been able to stay kind of busy, and I feel like staying busy has helped me to be less bored and be able to be more productive. For example, I'm doing all my classes, I'm doing remote work, and then in my free time, I find ways to stay busy by either helping my family with chores, or I try painting or exercising. Another thing that surprised me is all the positivity that's come out of this. I know in my community, the school is delivering lunches to families in the public school, and they get so excited to see the teachers. And then people are putting up signs in their windows, and that's just really cool to see.
I think for me, what surprised me the most was a personal thing, like how much I enjoyed my routine before all of this. I kind of in like the school year, I went to class, I would go to work, go to the gym, hang out with friends, only did about, 4 things really, but that was like my set day, felt accomplished if I did all those things. So I think once that kind of changed, I really realized, wow, I really enjoyed my routine. So that was kind of the learning curve for this, because I didn't have a set routine. A lot of my classes canceled their lectures and pretty much just had online assignments. So I think finding a new routine was definitely difficult at first, but now I've kind of found my routine. Luckily, the WSU dining service has allowed us to work remotely by doing online training. So doing that every week and kind of finding just my new routine was kind of my biggest learning curve and what surprised me the most.
Yeah, the thing I found strangest about this is the fluctuation in free time. Like every single day is different from the one before it. Like on Monday, I was binge watching a bunch of TV shows, and on Tuesday, I had 4 Zoom lectures and 4 Zoom meetings, and I was nonstop on my laptop from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. or something. Yeah, it's a lot to get used to because I'm so used to every day being a set schedule.
I really appreciate you guys kind of mentioning the things that have surprised you, because I think a lot of students have gone through that. And I also know our faculty and staff have gone through that as well. I really like the mention of the routine too, because I think that it really shocked us all about how much we were going to be on our laptops, or how much we were going to have to be, on the phone or doing these things virtually. So it is a little surprising about how much we've had to adjust those routines, but it sounds like, after the first couple of weeks, I think students more got the hang of it and realized how to contact their instructor, how to contact their advisor with questions that they had. So it sounds like you guys have adjusted at this point now that our semester is almost over. But I appreciate you guys sharing the surprises, because those can be tough things to share and tough things to get through for sure. My next question is, a lot of our students here in WSU and in Murrow chose to stay in Pullman during this quarantine time, but a majority of them, I think, decided to go back to stay with family or friends in different areas. So how are you dealing with your current home situation, whether that's in Pullman or whether you decided to move back with family or friends? How's that going for you? And Madison, I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah, so I'm with my family right now. It's actually been pretty good because my family's, I have 3 siblings. They're all high school and junior high age. We're pretty busy during the school year and even in the summertime, but now things are slowing down and we actually get to spend time together and get to play games, get to go on walks, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's been good. Kind of finding a quiet place to do Zoom meetings like this has been kind of difficult because everybody's running around and I have a loud dog, but my room is usually the place I go. But yeah.
So I was in Pullman for the first few weeks. I actually just went back to Spokane last Friday, so I've kind of seen both the Pullman side and the home side. Pullman was definitely a lot harder, I think. My roommate moved out. He left for spring break and then just decided not to come back. So I was by myself for a while, and that was definitely weird because Pullman's already not much to do, and then when there's nobody there, it's pretty weird. So kind of like I mentioned, just learned like trying to find my new routine of what I did. One of the things I found for people in Pullman is the bike ride to Moscow along the highway is honestly not that bad. It's all flat, completely paved. Takes about like an hour there and back or so, maybe like an hour and 20 minutes. That was one thing that I found that was took up a lot of time and was a great way to get outside. As far as being home now, definitely enjoy just like having people around, really kind of realizing, hey, this might be the last time I get to be around my parents like this for a while, after I graduate and move out and get a job. So I think I'm kind of just trying to remember that I get to be around my family and my sister, my pets. So kind of just appreciating what I can.
Yeah, I kind of did the opposite of what Jack did. I went home for a few weeks and ended up coming back to Pullman because as much as I love being home with my family, they're all immunocompromised. So I knew like if I left my house, I was risking their lives and I didn't want to have to deal with that. And I was going a bit stir crazy. So I came back here, and even though it's a little bit lonely because I don't have any roommates, like Jack said, I can go outside, I can go for a bike ride or a walk or go hike. It just gives me something to do.
Well, thanks to all of you guys for sharing those perspectives. I've been talking to a lot of my students, a lot of my advisees are new incoming students that are planning to be Cougs in the future. And a lot of them have kind of the same situation where they're really thankful for the extra time that they get to spend with their family. But for those of them that, like Mindy said, maybe are living with those that are maybe a little more immunocompromised, they've had to kind of put that distance between them and their family, and it can be very lonely. So I think that any way that we can reach out, which we'll kind of talk about that in the suggestions that we'll talk about, like I said, later in this video, any suggestions that you guys can help give later about how students can stay connected with each other and connected with their community, I think will be really, really appreciated. I think something else that we've definitely seen an increase of is, just a kind of a seasonal depression almost, kind of in the same way in the winter time where if there's not enough sunshine or people are kind of staying inside more, it tends to have a negative effect on mental health. So I think just being aware of that during this time, that everyone's kind of more affected by loneliness and things like that. I think if we can share some resources, that would be really helpful. Shifting gears just a little bit, depending on where you guys are, have you guys actually been able to get access to everything that you need, like groceries? And I know it's kind of a joke, but toilet paper. I mean, have there been issues in the areas where you guys have been, both Pullman or otherwise, where you've been able to get the things that you need?
So yeah, my family goes shopping in Spokane, and the first few weeks of quarantine, there was not any like disinfecting wipes or any like cleaning supplies, and so that was kind of difficult. But luckily, my mom had supplies on hand, and we had enough toilet paper, and our local grocery store in town had all the supplies we needed, luckily. Um, so yeah, it wasn't too difficult.
Yeah, I kind of lucked out. Right before this all happened, I went grocery shopping and like stocked up on things I normally needed, and then it kind of just worked out that I had all that stuff. As far as when I've had to try to buy anything that I ran out of, when I was in Pullman, I honestly didn't have too much of an issue. I had toilet paper, so I never even checked if the Walmart in Pullman was like empty or not. And then when I came home, my parents were kind of in the same situation. They made a Costco run right before this, like without even like planning, like because of the virus. It just worked out that way. So so far we've been okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't pay much attention when I was back home because I didn't really go grocery shopping. That's like my mom's favorite thing to do, so I don't do it. But here in Pullman, everything's stocked up on like the essentials, but they're sold out of the weirdest things. Like I went to buy frozen fruit and flour because I wanted to make smoothies and banana bread, and they don't have any, and they have no idea when they're gonna get more.
Super interesting. Yeah. I live in Moscow, so kind of the same area as Pullman. And I've noticed the same thing, Mindy. The essentials, they seem to, they were low for a few weeks, but then they got the supply kind of back up and going. But it's kind of the random things that they seem to be out of. I'm like, why don't you have any tofu? You always have tofu. Why are people stocking up on this? This is very strange. So I'm really glad to hear that you guys haven't had issues with that, though. There are people in our areas, but also around the state and around the country, as we know, that weren't able to get access to some of those things. So when we go through our quarantine suggestions here in a minute, we'll talk about some resources that our WSU students and Murrow students can take a look at here in the Pullman-Moscow area. Awesome. So I think the last question that I'll ask to you guys before we jump into some fun quarantine suggestions and activities is, and you guys can feel free to share as much or as little as you want with this one, but have you noticed any changes to your mental or physical health through this COVID-19 adjustments? I know something for me, my physical health is kind of taking a little bit of a toll because I'm on Zoom a lot more rather than walking from building to building or giving tours. And I know that my mental health is kind of, it just kind of feels a little blah right now because again, we're not connecting with other students. We're not in our community as much. So I was wondering from a student perspective, if you guys have felt any of that. And again, Madison, I'll turn over to you first.
Yeah, I think that I'm actually the opposite with physical health because I've been able to have more free time to be able to work out, to be able to go on more walks with my family. And I actually started doing yoga, which at first I was like, I don't know about this. But then after I got into it, it was actually really relaxing. It's a lot of stretches, a lot of breathing. And so it's also good for your mental health too. And so I found that was really helpful. And then for my mental health, I definitely miss all my friends in Pullman because all my friends live all over the place. They don't really live in the area that I live. And I also miss all the groups that I was a part of. But some of my friends and I have been able to go on Zoom meetings together. And so that's been really fun to connect. And also, it's kind of old fashioned, but I've been writing some of my friends some letters just to kind of keep in touch and have like a physical thing that people can read. And some of them have written me back already, so that's fun and something to look forward to.
Yeah, for me, as far as physical has gone, definitely kind of taken a little bit of a toll. I had like a pretty set like gym routine, just going to the rec, about 5 times a week kind of thing. And now I have like 2 sets of dumbbells and an old treadmill that my parents have, and so my equipment is very limited. um, Trying to make the best of what I have, trying to get creative definitely, but yeah, a little bummed on that just because I had kind of my set routine of like when I went to the gym using all of the rec is huge and has all sorts of equipment, so definitely a change in that. As far as mental health, kind of, yeah, like what you touched on, just not being able to see the people I normally see, the groups I was normally a part of, and also for me being a senior and graduating, the job search has been pretty rough. It is what it is. You can't really can't change anything about it. So I'm trying to stay positive, still searching. I've had a few pretty good leads still, so yeah, I'm trying to stay positive. But it is a little scary just knowing that I don't know what I'm doing yet after graduation, which is in like 2 weeks. But I'll figure it out. It'll all work itself out.
Yeah, aside from the whole going stir crazy thing back home and coming here, it's been kind of lonely over here just because I live by myself. So I've been relying a lot on like social media and FaceTime in order to connect with my friends and family and kind of fill the absolute silence that I live in. But my physical health has gotten better since coming back to Pullman because back home I couldn't leave my house. And here I can, go out and walk, hike, bike. So I'm getting back into my old routines and it's nice.
Well, thanks for sharing all of that with us, you guys. I appreciate that. I know that everyone's kind of dealing with the situation a little differently, and it sounds like you guys, like I said, have adjusted to some new routines, which is really great. But also being aware that you have to kind of reach out to your community and to your friends and family in different ways. I love that Madison mentioned writing letters because I did the same thing. I was like, this would be so fun to get an actual letter in the mail. So I sent out some of those, and that was really, really fun. And then Jack, it's nice that you mentioned the workout situation because I know a lot of students really depended on their memberships at the facilities on campus to be able to do that. I know my brother, for example, he's a bodybuilder, a weightlifter, and he's had to just kind of crash at friends' places that have, the actual setups because he doesn't have his own. So trying to think of creative ways to stay involved in that is really challenging, but I appreciate you guys sharing your solutions and ideas for those. Now I think we'll go ahead and move into our suggestions and activities piece of the video, which I'm really excited about. I asked each of our ambassadors to kind of share an activity or some hobbies or things that they've been doing during quarantine to stay both, physically and mentally healthy and active and essentially not bored, right? Not going stir crazy. So I think I'm going to turn it over to each of them to share a little bit about what they've been doing, and then I'll wrap up the video with some more awesome resources that we have here at WSU and Murrow that our students can use during this quarantine time. So I'll turn it back over to Madison, who I think is going to share an awesome recipe with us. I think you're still muted, Madison. There we go.
Okay, hello. So I'm going to show you how to make Disney's Dole Whip. So if you've ever been to Disneyland, you might have had this at the Tiki Room, but it's just a really refreshing kind of dessert. So what you'll need is some pineapple juice. You'll need some frozen pineapple chunks, and then you'll need some vanilla ice cream. So what you first do is you can take the pineapple chunks, and then you'll need about 2 cups of these. And I have a Ninja blender, so I will be using that. Okay. Then after that, you need half a cup of pineapple juice. Okay. Okay, and then the last thing you need is just 1 scoop of ice cream. Okay, and then you can use a regular blender too. I've done it in both, and it's turned out really good. And I'm sure you can use yogurt too if you do not want to use ice cream. Okay. I will mute it when it's blending because it's really loud.
This already looks like an amazing recipe. I have not had breakfast this morning, so watching Madison make this looks like an excellent option for my morning, and I can tell you that I will not be substituting yogurt. I will definitely be using ice cream in mine, but we'll definitely kind of wait and see. I also want to, hopefully she mentions how much this makes too, but it looks like a super easy recipe, so really excited to kind of see how this turns out, and I'll definitely ask her to send me the recipe as well. I'll wait for her to unmute here.
Here is the end product. I didn't blend it for as long as I normally would, but if you want it to be more creamy, you can blend it for longer, and it turns out really good.
That's amazing. Thanks so much for sharing that, Madison. Kind of a fun, easy recipe. It looks like, except for where Mindy's at, not able to get frozen fruit, it sounds like everything on there should be easily accessible enough to be able to make that. So thanks so much for sharing. Appreciate that. We'll turn it over to Jack here. I think he's going to share some of the things that he's been doing during quarantine as well.
Yeah, so for me, kind of what I've been trying to do is just be outside as much as possible. Like there's been days where I've been on Zoom calls and meetings all day, and then it's like 7 o'clock, and I'm like, wow, I have not left my room today. And so I think just trying for any reason you can get outside. If I'm like, I've been trying to read more books, so I'll read outside if the weather's nice enough, just to be outside, get some sunlight. Another thing that I've been doing is finding just like home workouts or whatever. One person on Instagram who I really suggest, his name's Coach Eugene Tio. He uses like household products, like literally like a bath towel and all these things for different workouts, and they're really good because I know a lot of people right now are struggling to find workout equipment. So they either don't have a gym, or even I know Walmart, they don't have like any more dumbbells, and people are like reselling fitness equipment. So it's really hard to come by, but he uses a lot of just like things that everybody has at their house, and they're really good workouts. So again, it's Coach Eugene Tio on Instagram. Give him a follow. He's got a lot of great workouts. That's kind of what I've been trying to do. Also, just FaceTiming people. Whether when I was in Pullman, try to FaceTime my parents pretty often, friends, people I hadn't talked to in a while, grandparents, kind of that thing. Just to, since you can't talk to them in person, might as well do it over FaceTime. That way, don't go completely stir crazy. So that's kind of been what I've been doing.
Well, thanks for sharing that, Jack. We appreciate that. I know that we kind of talked about the workout stuff before, but it sounds like I've seen some videos even on my social media about people using, laundry baskets full of clothes to do squats and things like that. So just household items that you can use. That's a great account to be able to follow that. I also know that with FaceTime, I know that a lot of people have been using like Netflix Party, for example, which is where everyone can watch the same movie, but then kind of have a chat going and have like a live video stream as well. So it's like you're watching a movie with your friends, but you're still doing it virtually. So love the mention of FaceTime and kind of the virtual ways that you can still connect with your community. So Mindy, do you want to share some of the ideas and things that you can do?
Yeah, I completely agree with what Jack said, that it's really good to just get outside. So if you're fortunate enough to live in an area where you can, go outside and go for a walk while keeping your distance from everyone, I really recommend you do that. It's nice to have the fresh air after being stuck inside, doing all your homework and classwork and attending your lectures all day. I've also been like playing a lot of tennis because I found it's a good way to socialize and exercise while still keeping your distance from everyone you go out with. And like Madison said earlier, yoga is a really, really good thing to take up if you're stuck in quarantine. There's a lot of videos on YouTube if you don't really know what you're doing, and you can do like mindful yoga or strength yoga. I was really big into it before this, so it's just been nice. Also, I've gone and like redecorated my apartment like 3 times now. I have like a pile of fairy lights in the corner that I like started stringing and then gave up. And I've been making like a lot of like Spotify playlists because I realized that I listened to the exact same music that I did in like 2016 and it's a little outdated. So I've been trying to find new stuff. But I've also been getting like super into like my really, really old ones from like 2013, like going full emo middle school. But yeah, other than that, I think all I've done is, yeah, I dedicated so much time to learning TikTok dances. Like, I'm gonna do so good, so good. I'm gonna be like TikTok famous. I love it. I think the goal is just to do anything so that you don't feel bored. You know, it doesn't really matter what you're doing so long as you're doing something.
I love all of those suggestions. Thanks so much for sharing that, Mindy. Before we started creating this video, Mindy had mentioned TikTok, so she was explaining that to us a little bit. It sounds like she's going to go pro here soon, so that's good. She said she's not, but she might. We'll see. Well, I appreciate you guys kind of sharing all of the suggestions and things that you've been doing during quarantine. I know on the faculty staff side, I know that we've felt that maybe we don't have quite enough time to do everything that we want to do within the time frame that we have, but I think a lot of feedback that I've actually gotten from students is because their classes are more flexible, they've been able to take on more hobbies and work on physical and mental health and being with friends and family that they're back home with. So it's actually really positive to hear you guys kind of say similar things, and I appreciate you guys sharing all of that. Before we wrap up here, I do want to share a few of our resources that we have for the Murrow College and for Washington State. The first one that I want to throw up for students to take a look at is the Murrow website. This is just murrow.wsu.edu, and these ambassador videos are actually right on the front page, easy and accessible enough for you. And then down below that, we also have a list of other resources, ways to get laptops, ways to connect with your advisor and faculty, and then all of our main menu items are still there at the top for you to explore as well. The next resource I think that is really, really important for us to consider is Cougar Health Services. I know that a lot of my students, a lot of our students in Murrow use Cougar Health Services for a lot of various reasons. And I think it's important to point out that during this COVID-19, during this COVID-19 era, they are actually doing virtual counseling. So for those of you that are that were using Cougar Health Services or still need those resources, all of their information is right up on their website, so be sure to check that out. Don't stop going. Don't stop thinking that, you know, we're not there for you. It's going to look a little different, but we still want you to reach out to them and continue using their services if you've used them before. Another great resource that I'd like to share that one of our new advisors, Jessica, shared with us is that WSU actually has a food pantry available for students who are unable to get access to the food or the items that they need. We talked about in our video today if food and things were accessible at the store, but what we also have to remember is that a lot of people were laid off of their jobs and are unable to afford things like food and sanitary items. So WSU came together and has a couple areas where people can pick up food. It talks about how you can donate food. So be sure to check out this website as well if you're struggling with that or you know someone who could definitely utilize that resource. One thing that I want to share personally that I think is really, really important is staying positive during this time of COVID-19. And one resource that I always hear about and one I absolutely love to watch is called Some Good News. It's a show on YouTube, and it's actually by the guy in The Office. His name's Jim in The Office. So for those of you, that's probably how you know him best. So I think that remembering that while watching the news and staying informed is very, very important. It's also important to remember that our news right now is pretty negative. It's going over a lot of the things that are going wrong or things that people are upset about. And so I think just balancing the input, you know, watching some of our regular news shows, but then also, you know, maybe watch some good news or watch some inspiring Instagram stories from people that are posting good things that are still going on during this time. So I encourage you to check out that YouTube link. The final thing that I want to mention, living in a small community of Moscow and Pullman, is to remember to reach out to your community and support them as well. I know that most of the restaurants in Moscow and Pullman are still doing to-go food or carry out or delivery, and that's how they're still supporting the students, the employers, and staying open during this time. So anything that you can do to support local, wherever you might be, I encourage you to reach out to your community to be able to do that. We didn't really mention, anything particular in our video today, but in Moscow, Pullman, I know we have some great places that our students are still working and still trying to keep afloat. So be sure to support local if and when you can. I think for the most part, that concludes our suggestions piece of the video. So I just want to remind everyone to stay tuned for our video next week, where we're going to be kind of sharing some tips about how to be successful in virtual finals, because those are coming up sooner rather than later. So I think having some ambassadors with us to share how they're going to be successful during their finals week is going to be a very important video for you to check out. But with that, I think we'll go ahead and close out here. So thanks so much for watching with us. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.